right, we're going to send it down to Brandon Parker and Cory Sarich for tonight's Flames TV postgame show presented by Original 16.
Up your game and celebrate things done well with the great taste of Original 16, official beer of the Calgary Flames. All right, welcome inside our Flames postgame live presented by Original 16. Brendan Parker and Cory Sarich alongside as the Calgary Flames jump back into the win column with a big victory here in the middle part of this three-game homestand. 4-1 the final over the visiting Anaheim Ducks. Make it 2-for-2 against the Ducks so far this season. The win on January the 7th in Anaheim, and then a big one here tonight. Didn't start maybe the way that Calgary would have drawn it up, but they bounced back with a big second period and carried it right through to the finish. An interesting evening in terms of some of the dynamic around this night, and we'll talk a little bit about some of that as the evening rolls along, but they seem to handle everything that was thrown at them throughout the course of this evening, didn't they?
Yeah, and it was not the best start for the Calgary Flames tonight. You know, Anaheim came out, they had great possessions early. They had a lot of really nice passing plays. I thought that their puck possession was really solid in the first period, and the Flames were chasing a little bit. They gave up a shorthanded goal early. You always wonder what's going to happen when something like that is kind of the first key marker in the game, but they handled it really well. They came out strong in the second period after that, and they got going, and they got some really great performances tonight from their younger players. You know, it was a pretty well-rounded effort by everybody, but again, it's nice to see these young kids that are getting their chance come up and make a splash.
No question. And then obviously the guy that'll be highlighted over and over again tonight is Matt Coronado for the hat trick. But before Coronado jumped out on the score sheet, it was the big man, Adam Klapka, that made his presence felt really throughout I would say that whole second period, but right from the opening shift of the second inning.
Yeah, and you wondered, like, he had a tough penalty at the end of the game the other night. Yeah. He was sticking up for his teammates, though, and he runs over Tom Wilson, gives him a shot, which led to a whole bunch of antics from last game.
Which were great, by the way.
Yeah, they were very entertaining. Yeah. But Huska didn't like that penalty.
Sure.
So he asked his player in Klapka to walk a fine line, be physical, but you got to learn there's a time and a place for the other stuff. Yep. And tonight he got clipped early in the game by Trouba in the first period, and I thought that might set him off, but he kept his poise, and he just inserted himself physically all night tonight. Yep. Scored a beauty goal, and again, for me, it was probably one of the most confident games that I've seen him play. He was super impactful, and you just saw him kind of from midway through that first period, second and third, he was a dominant figure out there. Yeah,
he sure was. Let's show you how it went down tonight and show you that beautiful goal by Adam Klapka, but it is the Flames that get the 4-1 win, and as you mentioned, it was a sluggish start and a first period that, you know, obviously you want to have this one back on the power play, and the shorthanded marker by Frank Vatrano, so you got the 2-on-1 developing and the keep and the fire from Vatrano, and it's a perfect shot.
Yeah, and I'm sure Rasmus Andersson probably wants to have that entry back, but things like this do happen. Again, it was a pressing first period by the Anaheim Ducks, and Vatrano was shooting that one all the way. Yeah. And you don't beat Dustin Wolf very often, but that was a beauty shot under the bar.
15 on the year for Vatrano, 1-0 after one for the Ducks, and what was kind of relatively an uneventful rest of that first period. The second, all Calgary, and it started 15 seconds in, and how about the finish by the big man and DeCelli that go with it?
Yeah, and a big power move, and neither of the Ducks seem interested in trying to do anything in getting in his road and stopping him there. He was forcing his will, he was going to the net, and that's how he needs to play. I mean, that gets you noticed, that gets you on the scoreboard, and good for him.
Well, he's got a unique skill set, and you can see it just the way that he handled that puck across the blue paint. That pays off. Now, 15 seconds into the period, 15 seconds at the end of the period, and this one's Matt Coronado to give him the first lead of the game.
Yeah, and here's another one of the young Flames using his tools in his toolbox. This guy likes to shoot from all over the place. He's got a great screen in front with Coleman, taking away the eyes of Gibson, and he gets that thing on net. And I can't get over how much he gets on it off of his back foot. A couple of sticks in front of him, but this kid can really shoot the biscuit.
Yeah, he can, and that thing's a weapon. That's 12 on the season for Coronado, and just the start to his night. Flames had so many chances to add to their lead, but it took until the final 4 minutes of this hockey game to give them some insurance, and it comes courtesy of the forecheck. Blake Coleman gets the assist on that play, but it's the forecheck that sets up Coronado's second.
Yeah, and he was all around it on Coronado's other goal. He had the screen in front. Great hustle by Coleman. Gibson's a really good player of the puck. He doesn't make many mistakes like that, but again, it was just the added effort there by Blake Coleman to set up this goal, and it's an easy tap in for Matt Coronado.
So Coronado's got his second of the game, and then some nice work down low by Joel Hanley and company there, and seal off that wall, get it Coronado, who finishes off his first career hat trick.
Yeah, and it was an early goalie pull, being down by a couple for Anaheim. It was like 3:30. They end up pulling their goalie, and that's an awful lot of time. And Flames did a great job. They gave him pretty much nothing. There was some added excitement at the end of the game. There's a little bit. Hopefully, we'll get to that. Just some tempers flaring. Flames didn't like a couple guys landing or being pushed on top of their goaltender. Retaliated back. Lombard didn't like being run into the post. He had a little something to say. And,
well, let's take a look at it, because we're describing. I mean, this game did have some emotion as it went on. It wasn't there right from the start, but it seemed to build throughout the course of the game. And maybe Kadri, Gudas, and Trouba had a little role to play in that, but it definitely came to a head in the third.
Yeah, we maybe won't see the Kadri Trouba scrap, but they've got lots of history. And you got Radko Gudas, who's miserable to play against on the best of nights. And right here, this is the one where Lombard gets dumped into his own net, and he's going to have nothing to do with it, especially when the score, I think at the time, it might even be 4-1 at this point.
Yeah, it is.
So coaches don't mind. Don't get pushed around out there. And this is the one that I really like, the response. You're going to get dumped on top of your goaltender late in the game. This is a Ducks defenseman that has no business being down there right now. Hey, give him a little love tap, love slap, whatever you want to call it.
A little taste of the right glove, I guess you could say.
I just like Paul sticking up for his goalie. That's the main thing.
Well, and hey, listen, we've seen Paul do that throughout the course of the season. He's tough to play against, and I think, you got to like that when you're sticking up for your goaltender, and I'm sure Dustin Wolf appreciates that too.
Yeah, and you pick your spots within a game. If it's a 1-1 game, 2-1 game, you maybe like let a few things go and you play within yourself. But when the score's already out of hand, you got to stand up for your teammates.
Well, and especially as we see that pack. I mean, we've already seen the Lombard part, and there's a few things that happened before it, so the game's kind of already on edge at that point. And so when somebody's running into your netminder, you have to make sure you're stepping in there. And as we were just talking about it, Kadri and Trouba, we know they have the history dating back to that epic tilt 1 year ago. Actually, might have been 2 years, almost 2 years ago now in New York. And this is kind of where it stems from, the big hit from Jacob Trouba on Kadri. And tonight it was Kadri that stepped up to answer in his own hit against Trouba here tonight against Anaheim.
Yeah, and I was impressed in that original play. Kadri just got up. He took that hit like a champ. It was a clean hit. And tonight, Trouba's at it again. And I just think Nazem had enough, seen enough. And again, it's a great response. He gets up here and we are going to see it. Gets after it. And maybe not a lot of punches landed in this one, but it sets a tone. It sets a tone for your team. Yeah. You're not going to run us over. You're not going to bully us around. And especially the Ducks have a very young team. You got to remember that. So it was nice to see some pushback by the Flames. We were talking in the first period, with all of the possession time that Anaheim had, you got to make it hard on them. You got to make them play the full length of the ice. You got to hem them in their own end. You got to be physical on them. And I wouldn't say the Flames went and overwhelmed them with body checks and physicality, but it progressed as the game went on just enough to take that game over.
Yeah. Well, and, the other part of, you talk about the emotion, I mean, there is some speculation out there, too. We should mention Jacob Pelche didn't come back into this hockey game, left after the first period, didn't play from the second on, and Andrei Kuzmenko was a late scratch. He was expected to play, didn't end up getting into the lineup here tonight, and obviously the rumor mill is chugging, and nothing official from either team at this point. We will update you if there is anything to update there, but obviously that's kind of part of this hockey game, or part of, the fabric of this hockey game, and I'm sure that'll be part of what's talked about afterwards. But just so, the response from the team, this is obviously late stages of the first period. Pelche played the full shift. He started on that line with Nazem Kadri as well as Jonathan Huberdeau, and then didn't play from the second period on. So if there is anything to update, we will update you on that throughout the course of this game. But certainly, effect in the locker room as well. Yeah,
when something like this happens, which is, I'm guessing, probably just part of the business of the game. You never really know what's going on as a player until all the details are ironed out. But you just do your best to carry on with the game, and you got a big game to win. And at this time, the Flames are in one, so probably not that tough for the team to refocus and get out there. But again, distractions in game, they don't happen all that often. But I have played through a couple of teammates being removed at certain times, and you're not sure why. And that's that.
Yeah, absolutely. And, obviously the Calgary Flames were able to focus up because they played some of their best hockey in the late stages of that hockey game. And, you just go back to Adam Klapka, and you mentioned just the physicality, too, that he brought to this game. It started with that exchange with Tom Wilson, and then yesterday, just the way he talked about, the reason he did it in the first place was he was sticking up for his captain that he thought was treated unfairly by Wilson earlier in the night. But he just talked about walking that line. He's still a younger player in terms of the National Hockey League, but felt like he has to play, kind of a tough style of hockey. Do we see that tonight, along with the hands, along with the offense, because he had some chances, but led the team with 8 hits here tonight too?
Yeah, and it's not a league anymore where you have to go out and fight your way into a lineup, right? He is a prime example of exactly what he did tonight. He was extremely physical. He used his big frame, and then he made hockey plays as well. And that's the one thing I think that Adam Klapka can do. I think Craig Conroy has mentioned it. He feels like there's more to be untapped with this young player. So it's great to see, and it's nice that he's kind of learning the ropes. Your captain gets run in the last game, you go, you stick up for him, you take a shot at somebody else. And if you're taking penalties in that regard, I know we talked again, Ryan Huska didn't like it just because of time and place in the game. But your teammates will go to battle for you, and those are often the ones that will get killed off because it's for the right reasons.
We'll hear from some members of the Calgary Flames here following the victory 4-1 over the Anaheim Ducks. Room not open just yet, but we will get some reaction following the victory. Heard from Matt Coronado just talking to Ryan Leslie on Sportsnet afterwards, and obviously he was thrilled with his first career hat trick, but just talked about the overall effort, and that seems to be the way that this team's played a lot of nights this year. Even when they give up an early one, it doesn't seem to phase them, and I know that that can be difficult, especially given some of the history on this team in the past. Sometimes when they can stack up, they can snowball early. That's never been the case with this group, just the way that they've been able to handle early setbacks and then settle in from there.
And I think that boils down to just two things pop into my mind. It's your structure, it's your team structure that you've been working on all year long. Everyone's bought into it. Everyone believes they know what they need to do in the D zone. Yes, scoring goals has been a little tricky for this team, but when you have a good defensive plan to rely on, that can carry you to where you need to get to. And then second thing for me, again, is just this team, they really believe in one another. Yeah. And they know that they're a good home team. They've had success here. So if you've got those things to fall back on, just the guys in the room that know and have patience and that apply themselves and know that the other teammates are going to show up, you can get through those little things that could derail you when you're a very weak mental team and when you're not a stable team within your systems.
Yeah, and that's kind of been the MO for this group all season long, and proved it once again here tonight. You mentioned just the stability defensively, but you got to think of, I know he's third star tonight, I think, Dustin Wolf, your goaltender. It's like another kind of felt like quiet night, but there were some pretty big saves, especially when this game was still in doubt. I think 2-1, even 3-1, there was a couple of really big saves from your netminder, which seemed to be customary right now from him.
Yeah, it's starting to become fairly routine, and we're hearing that Wolf call out there fairly often, night in and night out when he's in there. But rock solid again tonight. Like you said, those flurries at the end of the third period were crazy. But let's take a couple looks at some of his saves tonight.
Yeah, this is earlier on in the hockey game, and obviously he's showing off the flexibility, and then a couple of point blank saves as well. But then I think about the third period. And a couple of the scrambles where there's some big bodies in front of the net, and he's trying to see it through traffic, and then somehow is either he's finding it or the teammates are helping him clear it out of the zone. But that's kind of where he's been good this year, is just tracking pucks.
And a lot of his work was done in the lower half of the net tonight. Right, it was scrambles. It was a lot of saves with his pads. Here's a random one that got up on him. The only one that beat him tonight was the one that was wide open for Vetrano. And again, just his side-to-side movement, his ability to track the puck, to be ahead of the puck, to know what guys are going to do with it. We've talked about it endlessly this year, and it just continued tonight.
31 saves for Dustin Wolf, so he continues his streak of shouldering the load in terms of just the starts for the Calgary Flames. That's 10th start in the last 12 games, and he's been really good on home ice. I think that's now 14-3-1 when it comes to his home ice record, but it's home or road. It seems to be the guy that's getting the ball and running with it right now, and doesn't seem to be phased by it at all. Like a rookie goaltender, and you've been around some good ones. When you see a guy that's kind of settling into his own, what is that like as a player? And you just know, like, every night you're gonna get the best effort from the netminder.
Well, it definitely provides confidence for your hockey team.
Yeah.
When you know that you're playing in front of a guy that's making it seem easy like he's done. I mean, I got to play a lot of time in front of Mika Kiprasov, and he rarely took a night off. He rarely had a bad game. It's weird. It instills confidence in your team, and these guys know, like, again, you get a shorthanded goal against early. There's belief that you're going to come back, and you know that you're going to get some big saves from your goalie. You know that you're going to have time. You don't have to hit the panic button. You can stick to what you know and stick to your game plan because of the ability in net to hold you in games.
Yeah, for sure. And he's been that all season for the Calgary Flames, but he's really starting to get a long string here now to run with it for the Flames between the pipes. And when you take a look at, when you're talking just specifically about some of the offense that they got here tonight and Matt Coronado, I look at, the way that he's scoring goals too. And you talked earlier about the shot on the first one from the high slot, but just his ability to find whatever room that the defenders are giving him to get those shots off. I mean, where does that knack come from? Because it seems like the confidence is certainly there to get him away now. Yeah,
I think it's first and foremost, it's confidence. But, like, I looked to last year, and he just seemed a little out of sorts, like not sure when to release the puck. Maybe trying to do a little bit too much with
timing
the puck, but everything just seems so natural. And of course, he has that ability. He scored in college, and he knows how to do it, but it's just kind of finding your place here. And like that goal he scored tonight, he knows that he's going to have a screen in front with Coleman being on his line. He knows that he's just got to get it on the net and get it up in the top portion of the net. And so, again, for me, I just love the way he's done it this year. I'm going to make another honorable mention to it. He's done it defense first. He's worried about his own end. He's learned how to play there. He's learned how to fit in on that line with two very good checking forwards. And then he's now finding the benefits of that. Like when Coleman races in and gets you a puck and you get an empty netter, or those two do a great job of face-off, which creates a loose puck that you get to go grab and find your space and rip around the top of the circle. They've just really fed off each other well, and they need scoring from wherever they can get it. So it's nice to see him put three in the net tonight.
Well, I was going to say, kind of probably give some credit to those wingers and his other line mates, and the fact that he's been able to find that place on the wing, but then the way he's been able to take advantage of it, because it's one thing to be there, it's another thing to take it to the level that he has.
And you see his feet moving, like he's got a good rhythm. I think his overall conditioning is better this year than it was last year. He looks a little faster to me, and that's just translated to maybe that split second to create a little more space, to be on pucks. But his hustle all over the ice, he's been one of their most consistent players night in and night out.
Well, and I think one of the things we were talking about earlier, just before we went live, another quiet night from one guy in particular who's been one of their consistent guys, especially offensively this year. But the night itself, when you look at how underrated it was, Jonathan Huberdeau, because some of the things he did well doesn't show up on the score sheet here tonight. There was some chances for sure, but just what he did in the small areas and defensively too. That's one thing you've talked about. But just what impact he had on tonight.
I loved his stick early in the games. He in the game, I think we're going to see a play here. He dives and frees up the puck, and it ends up being a chance right here for Nazem Kadri, who misfires a little bit on this, but that's the extra effort. Yeah. He had a couple of plays where he knocked down pucks on the power play to extend those. He was going to the net. He had a couple of tips in front. It didn't show on the score sheet tonight, but the offensive chances are there. I think he's mad at himself for this one. Gibson's going down. He's got the whole top corner, and he misses it. He'll be seeing that one tonight in his sleep.
Looking skyward.
Yeah. Couple of really nice pass here in the 2-on-1 to Pospisil. But again, the nice thing and the growth that we've seen in Jonathan Huberdeau this year is there's limited mistakes elsewhere on the ice. He's been relied on for the penalty kill, which he did a really nice job of killing off some extra minutes, just lugging the puck up the ice, challenging the other team to come and take it from him. It's been a really mature season for him, and I think he's learned from the past couple seasons and trying to fit under Huska's system what works and what doesn't work, and we're seeing good defensive play, and he's getting his, generally most nights, bonuses offensively as well.
Still waiting here from some of the members of the Calgary Flames. Post-game reaction. Locker room still not open yet. And I think obviously there's lots that we can dive into a little bit.
If we don't get a player out here, they're going to have to listen to us.
They've already had so much analysis from this hockey game. There's really nothing left for us to dive into. But luckily, Sarich here is just carrying the load for us. Anything else? What I was going to say?
Anybody got a breath mint around here? I'm starting
just somebody. Help us out a little bit, Aaron. I was actually going to make. Actually, guys, just hang off on that because we're not going to talk about that just yet. But I was going to mention the fact that we were talking about the playoff spot that they are jockeying in and out of, right now, and you're looking at being on the outside for the first time in a couple of weeks, and you had a chance to respond here tonight. You've lost 2 straight against top 2 teams, one in the East, one in the West, and then the response tonight, which I think is an important one, just because you get that chance to get right back into that final playoff spot, and you do just that here tonight.
Yeah, and it seems people are already talking about it, that it seems like a 2-horse race right now. You've got Vancouver, who's got their own inner turmoil going on over there, and they're dealing with their situation, but still finding a way to eke out points. And then it's the Flames. Until somebody else really a little lower than them provides a spark and looks like they're going to make a push, and I know there's a lot of time left. I'm just talking at this instance of the season. They got to just keep going toe-to-toe with the Vancouver Canucks. You got to be prepared to drag and get out points. And you have to do it against the teams like this, the teams that come in that you're supposed to beat. I mean, the Calgary Flames have proved this year that they're a consistent team, and these must-wins are must-wins. There's no excuses this year, and it was nice to see them tonight get that job done. This is a team that they had to beat tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. A team that entering tonight was 7 points behind the Flames. You put a little bit more distance there. Between yourself and Anaheim, now 9 points, and obviously right back into a playoff spot in the Western Conference playoff. Do we have somebody in the room now? Do we want to go inside? Okay. Do we have anything, just in terms of the graphic you guys were talking about, is that official now, or are we holding off on that? Yeah, let's do the out-of-town scoreboard here just quickly, and we're still waiting on word here from the locker room, and maybe we'll get a couple of guys here joining us soon, but just a quick peek around the out-of-town scoreboard. Just want to make sure that information is all up to date at this point, but Alexander Ovechkin, we saw him here recently. They get their point streak to continue the win streak. Obviously snapped before coming into Calgary, but they're right back at it now. They get another point. Alex Ovechkin scores in that hockey game, but the Sens continue to roll here too.
Yeah, they're a pretty solid team, and some of their young talent is starting to come to the forefront. They're getting timely goals from all over. You had defensemen scoring tonight, forwards, and I would like to see them make a push. I'd like to see them make a run to try to get into the playoffs. They're an exciting young team, and I'm sure everybody would like to see that put on display in a playoff round. And we look to the top right of the scoreboard. You see the Minnesota Wild taking on the Montreal Canadiens, and they end up with a 4-0 shutout. That comes courtesy of Marc-Andre Fleury. His last time potentially in Montreal. I mean, he's meant a lot to. He's a French-Canadian goaltender, and you got to love this guy. He's been the ultimate competitor, the ultimate pro, and to see him sneak into Quebec and come out with a win is pretty cool. Yeah,
really cool. And I think, probably for him, this is going to be one of those, in the final season, there's going to be some emotional moments, I would imagine, as he goes through this and he gets the salutes around the league. But that'll have to be up there in terms of the emotional nights.
I bet she's scarfing down a couple of extra Sheehan show after the game. That's the best part about being in Montreal, those teeny little hot dogs.
That's right. It is known for the best hot dogs in the league, and I think everybody indulges on a couple when you're there, and if you don't, that's just not right. You got to make sure
you better participate.
You better participate. And then looking around, there's still a couple of games ongoing as well, and Detroit ends up winning that hockey game. We had it on just as we were starting the postgame show. A couple of chances both ways in overtime. That one finishes in a shootout, but that, of course, being the next opponent of the Calgary Flames coming in here, the Detroit Red Wings, and they'll meet for the second and final time this season. That game, for all intents and purposes, is almost over, 5-1, even though it's in the second period, but a young Sharks team still fighting it there and on the road in Seattle. Good. I wanted to show you this.
I got no comments on that game.
I don't think it's self-explanatory.
Yes.
I wanted to show you this, though, because we were watching, and I don't know if this showed up on your feed up at Sportsnet, but this was an outstanding moment here. This kid makes a great grab on a puck that goes over the wall. He is fired up, and the crowd is loving it. Dad's looking around. He's got some beer spilled. Not sure who the beer spilled from. He's looking around. Look at this. I think it's your hat. And then there's the kid. I think it's his son on the other side, too. So he's got a Flames fan. He's got a Ducks fan. This kid didn't know what's going on. He's like, yeah, that puck came right over the. Look at, he's explaining it to him. There's all kinds of chaos going over. This kid is a star in the section.
Well, that summed it up. One kid was with it. Look at the jersey the other kid's wearing.
Right.
He's out to lunch.
That's right. Flames fans dialed, makes the catch. Ducks fan didn't even know the puck cleared over.
I had my son text me in between or during the intermission tonight. let a joke go on the Sportsnet broadcast, and he comments. He's like, "Oh, what a dad joke! Great job."
Yeah.
But I'm like, "Hey, you're not on your phone for a change. It's nice to see." So a little bit of that going on in the crowd tonight.
He does the opposite. He's on the phone during the game, but he's dialed in for your intermission segments. That's how he's.
No, there's something wrong with that picture,
Yeah,
Brandon.
he wants to make sure he's got a few notes for you after the game. Do we got anybody in the locker room, or like I think I'm getting some Instagram, some
Thank you,
some YouTube comments. Everyone's saying, "Can you shut these two guys up for crying out loud?" Okay, mercifully, Nazem Kadri is in the locker room. Take it over, Cats.
No, I just can't really ask you to speculate too much on a weird night, but let's just maybe if we could start with the game, and you see a couple of really good performances by some young guys. You know it meant a lot to Coronado and Klapka. What do you think of the group's overall effort and those two?
Yeah, it was a difference maker for sure. I think when you get, you inject some new people into the lineup. Matty's been great all year, but it's nice to see him, cap it off with a hat trick. So, it gives the group life, and that's what we need.
Kind of a different night, though, right?
Yeah.
Knowing that something is up, we all probably have our own ideas about what went up, but how do you guys kind of stay focused?
Yeah, it's interesting for sure. I mean, that's professional sports. It sucks when you lose some good people that are well liked in the dressing room and popular in here, especially when it happens to younger kids that this typically might be the first time they're in a situation like this. So you feel for them, and it sucks, man. It's hard to stay focused. Obviously, it caught everybody's attention, but we at the end of the day we got the job done.
And Naz, what does it say about what goes on in this room, that brotherhood that you guys have developed? I mean, I think it's come leaps and bounds in the last little while. You've seen certainly not only change to personnel, but to the environment in here and how one another cares for each other. I mean, I think there's something there, isn't there?
Right, I definitely agree. I mean, we want to perform for each other. I mean, that's what. I've been on good teams before, and that's what all of them have in common is, you're held accountable by each other, and you don't want to let the guy next to you down. And, that really generates some momentum and builds you into a great team. So it's great to see.
How would you compare Matt Coronado today to even a few months ago?
I think he's evolved for sure. I mean, that's, there comes a crossroad in a young player's career where, you go this way or that way, and Matty's certainly gone the right way. He's done everything he's in his power to become a better talent on the ice and to have more poise and more confidence out there, and we're seeing that, every single day. So not only is he a great player, he's a great kid, and he wants to be better. He wants to learn, and I'm not surprised he's having the results he's having.
What do you make of that shot of his?
It's lethal, yeah. He's got a quick little snapper on him for sure. So he can definitely certainly pick a corner as well. So he's got goal scoring talent, and that's on full display.
What do you remember about your first career hat trick?
Still on my wall to this day. So I mean that was a pretty special one for me, and I was asking him. I don't think he had one in the American League, so that's his first pro hockey. He wasn't quite sure, so I was a little confused by that. I didn't quite understand how he didn't know, but he certainly in the NHL is another level, and I'm happy for him.
Now, as you talked about how weird the game was with everything kind of swirling around, is it weird now as everyone sort of waits?
It is. It's a awkward situation. It's not something that us as players, want to happen. But at the end of the day, I mean, management's put in a situation where, you might have to pull the trigger here, or, trades fall through, or they escalate. I mean, they're hard to come by. So I understand you got to hop on the decision. It's never easy, watching guys you form bonds with leave the dressing room.
Have you experienced anything like this before in your career?
Probably. I mean, yeah, I've seen lots of guys come and go, believe me. So, but like I said, I mean, it's harder to as a veteran guy to watch a young player who's, become fond of the city and fond of the guys and, really starting to kind of, cement his way into having a professional career, have to leave so abruptly. So, that sucks, man. It sucks, but, I wish them all the best, of course.
Okay, thanks, Nazem.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Nazem.
All right, there's some thoughts post-game from Nazem Kadri, and obviously addressing the elephant in the room, and that is the fact that there's been plenty of trade speculation out there between the Calgary Flames and Philadelphia Flyers. We don't have official details. We're not going to report them here on this show, but when we get that official word, we will certainly talk about it. But there's no question that even the impact of a player starting a game and then obviously not finishing the game is what he's talking about, where it's it's a team dynamic and it's a close group. This is a team that it's been well documented, and if you've watched episodes of The Chase, you've seen it firsthand too, just behind the scenes, how close this group is, and I think that's part of what you're hearing there from Nazem Kadri.
Yeah, and I think that's you'll have different situations in your professional career where guys get traded. You maybe didn't know them all that well. Maybe you're on a team that was a little disjointed where you needed some shaking up. You hit the nail on the head there. These guys they're good people, and they really get along inside this dressing room, and that's been part of what Craig Conroy's been trying to build us. Build us around is he wants this team to want to be in Calgary first and foremost, want to be a Flame, and then just be a piece of the puzzle. And Ryan Huska's done a really nice job of trying to have a team-first attitude all year long and implement that in his coaching strategy. And so when you lose these pieces of the puzzle, it's relationships, your friends, on the ice, your friends off the ice. And again, sometimes you lose great friends in those dressing rooms. And I've had both. I've had where good riddance, and then I've had ones where you're sharing tears when guys are on the way out. So it's probably a pretty emotional in the dressing room right now.
Yeah, well, and especially when it happens at the timing that it happens at. And you were telling me about the one trade that you had in your experience. Maybe we can get to that more after. We have Adam Klapka ready, but just that there is the personal element though that I think does get kind of forgotten, especially when things are wildly speculated like they are at this time. That we often forget about the personal and think just about the professional side of it.
Yeah, and there's a lot of things that go along with it. Depending on the player's situation, there's families involved, there can be children involved.
Yeah.
And but again, it's part of the business. It's what you sign up for, and it's just going to continue to happen.
Well, and part of, obviously the adjustments up front with no Pelche for the final 40 minutes, it obviously allowed a little bit more opportunity for the big man, Adam Klapka, who he took advantage of it tonight, played a little bit more in terms of time on ice, scored the goal, had 8 hits. And
made your tracking the lines extra difficult tonight.
Right.
It was a blender out there.
It was a little bit of everything. A little bit of everything, but he certainly had his impact on it. Let's hear from the big man, Adam Klapka.
What was tonight like for you?
Yeah, I felt pretty good. It was probably my best game here with the Flames. I'm really appreciative for that, but it's still just one game. I just want to show that I can I can play the same way all the time, so that's the point now.
What made it the best? Obviously, lots of people are going to talk about the goal, but what sort of overall package goes into that being your best game at this level?
I have a little talk with Mr. Ginla. He helped me, give me some advices, so I was really happy about it. So we just had a quick talk that helped me too. And I said to myself, hey, this is the opportunity to show how I can play. So and I show, I think.
So does he get the assist on that goal, or how does that work? He doesn't probably need any more.
It was pretty nice talk. I didn't talk about specific stuff, but it was really nice that he cared about me. So I was really happy after that.
That was earlier today. Was that earlier today?
It was yesterday. So.
What did you see on your goal?
Yeah, it was a nice play by Postby, and the coach is telling me just go to the net, so I just took it and I used my reach and put it behind him.
You go from the physicality of you and Tom Wilson the other night to now showing that goal scorer's touch. It's funny, this morning Ryan Huska said there's more in there offensively, and there's some other big men around the league that he compared you to with that offense. You probably have the confidence that there's a lot more offense in your game.
Yeah, it's I like the guys who can play physically and can score the goals. So for me it's like that physicality was on it's there, but I have to show that I can play hockey and I can score the goals. So for me today it was that game that I show it. So I'm really happy for that.
Is there a comfort level that's starting to set in? Not that you get too comfortable, but knowing that you belong and not being nervous to play your game.
Yeah, I be honest, I talk a little bit with our how I'd say he's like the Matt Brown. He is, he helped me a lot too today. I have a quick talk with him too. So yeah, these little things can help you a lot to help you with how you play.
Even though you might not say what Jerome said. How surreal maybe is it that maybe the best Flame of all time is taking an interest in?
Oh yeah, I mean he's that guy who play hard and scored the goals. So I mean I was so happy that I met him first time like one year ago in development camp. So and right now when I find out that he wants to talk to me, so it was awesome stuff, and I was so happy and that he cares about me and he look on me like how I play and wants to help me.
Do you have any idea who talked to Matt Coronado?
No, I don't think so. Someone has to talk with him. You know, he is so good. I mean, he showed it last year with Wrangles with us, and he's showing it now. Like, he's amazing. I'm really happy for him.
Okay, thanks very much.
Thank you, guys.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Well, a couple of smiles from Adam Klapka, deservedly so. Felt it was his best game as a Calgary Flame. I think, what is that, his 7th game this year? 8th game this year, I think. And then obviously a handful last year as well. But, yeah, I don't know if you'd get much argument from anybody else to say that was his finest night as a Calgary Flame. And a little hat tip and a little credit to former captain Jerome McGinley.
Yeah, I guess
Mr. McGinley.
I saw him in the building the other day, and it was nice of him to, I guess, have a little impact on the game tonight.
Yeah, I'd like passing on some of that knowledge. Eh?
Yeah, you might as well. If you know how to score goals, let somebody know how to do it. I can't help the kid in that regard. So, anyways, but Adam, I just want to make one more comment.
Yeah.
When you talk about like comfort level and confidence, that's the best I've seen from him, and I kind of felt like he's been his own worst enemy. Like he kind of has tripped all over himself out there at times. He's like, when the opportunities come, maybe just squeezing the stick a little bit, and again, that's just getting used to this league, and it's part of the growing pains. And tonight was nice to see him take a big step forward.
For sure, and a big one indeed. As he said, one of his best nights as a member of the Calgary Flames in his 8th game this season, and obviously something for him to build on moving forward. Let's talk about a guy that's built on what he established maybe a little bit last year, but especially this season, and that's Matt Coronado, because he has found his scoring touch in the National Hockey League, and he got his first career hat trick tonight.
Any chance you weren't shooting that third one from your own zone?
Ras was yelling at me to shoot it, actually, but I don't know. It's funny.
How does it feel to score your first NHL hat trick?
Feels good. I think we had a little slow start, maybe tough first period, so good on us, I thought, to kind of regroup and come out and play a better second half of that game.
When was the last time you had a hat trick?
I'm not sure.
What made your group so successful? You mentioned the slow start, but putting it together, what made your group come out on the top end of this game?
I think just coming in between periods, we got a lot of guys that are vocal and great leadership. So I think those older guys did a great job kind of getting everyone going.
Any idea where the pucks are going to go now, Matt?
No, not really, no.
How important, you guys have lost a couple in a row. They always say, good teams don't let the losses obviously pile up. How important was this game in that sort of scope?
Yeah, very important. I think we knew coming in, really every day and every game at this point of the year is so important. Can't take any day for granted. So we definitely came in focused and knowing that, and happy with the result.
How did you see that second goal for you unfold? It looked like Gibson might have either expected an icing or misplayed the puck there. And
I think Colsey got in there and got a stick on it and kind of created all that chaos. So kind of all the credit to him. The puck was just laying in front because of his work.
Okay, thanks very much.
Thanks for down to the coach.
Cheers to another season of great times and great taste. Celebrate things done well. Original 16. Official beer sponsor of the Calgary Flames. Must be legal drinking age.
Welcome back, Flames Postgame Live, presented by Original 16. It's the postgame show. Brendan Parker alongside Cory Sarich. Thanks for hanging in with us tonight on an extended version of the postgame show, but good to hear some reaction following the 4-1 win. Calgary Flames over the Anaheim Ducks, and they do it courtesy of the guy we just heard from, Matt Coronado, gets his first NHL hat trick, and I think Kadri was saying earlier that he wasn't 100% sure if that was maybe his first pro hat trick. Or it's unequivocally, we can tell you, emphatically, it is his first NHL hat trick without a doubt. So either way, a great night for Coronado, great night for Adam Klapka, and some real underrated heroes of this hockey game as well. We're expecting to hear from head coach Ryan Huska here momentarily as well. If we get it probably in the next few minutes, we'll bring that to you live here as well. But just to finish up the thought, I think the last question, in terms of the good teams not letting losses stack up, that question from Wes Gilbertson of Post Media. But I think that's something that certainly gets brought up a lot throughout the course of the year. But with an 82 game schedule, easier said than done. When you look at just the context of the two teams you lose to, and then going down the standings a little bit against Anaheim, this was a game that felt like you needed to have here tonight on home ice.
Yeah, for sure. And you've got a lot of tough opponents coming in here, so this is one that you want to get under your belt. And you don't want to start those streaks in the wrong direction, right? The losing streaks, they've done a really nice job of that this year, Calgary. They've bounced back after losses. They've found ways to scrap out extra points. And again, those are the signs of a team that's starting to mature and figuring itself out a little bit. So it was good to see. And again, if we look forward to the schedule, you've got Detroit, then you've got Seattle in a back-to-back situation, then you've got the Leafs parade comes to town, and then the Colorado Avalanche. So again, if I look at that, just that little snapshot in the schedule, this is a game that they had to win tonight.
Yeah, without a doubt. And you mentioned the final game of this brief 3-game homestand. It's broken up by one quick road game, but the schedule doesn't get any easier. We talked about last weekend and just the amount of games you're playing on the road. You come home, you get 3 at home, which is nice, and a little bit of extended time. But the fact that starting today, you're playing 3 and 4 once again, and obviously here tonight, Detroit on Saturday, and then straight up. Or straight down to Seattle after that. You got to have the legs, catch the rest when you can.
Yeah, and the other thing that everyone is, and it's got to be in the back of their minds, is the break in February. You want to go in there with momentum so that you're not thinking about, what could have been, or, geez, you want to go in there with some momentum so that when the 2 weeks pass, you're coming out of it and you get right back where you left off. So that's, again, another important thing for the Calgary Flames.
Well, maybe we'll park aside our Flames post-game live here coverage when we do get head coach Ryan Huska. Okay, all right. Just getting word now that in lieu of the head coach Ryan Huska and his thoughts following the game, we're actually going to get general manager Craig Conroy heading to the press lounge. So we're going to actually hang with you here. Obviously, that's going to address a lot of what we've been hearing here tonight, and obviously a lot of the speculation, obviously what you heard from Nazem Kadri in the dressing room as well, just the impact that it had on the locker room and how they were able to sort of compose themselves between periods and eventually find the victory. But as mentioned, we will hear from the general manager, Craig Conroy, here momentarily on Flames Postgame Live. So we'll hang with you because I know everybody's waiting to see and waiting to hear officially what's going on here tonight around the National Hockey League and potentially involving the Philadelphia Flyers as well, as we've been seeing, and I'm sure as everyone's following along on social media as well. Maybe on a night like this, Craig Conroy obviously busy upstairs, and we're going to hear from him, but when you think about the coaching staff too, and that's all part of it as well, it's just maybe those in-game sort of talks between periods might have been a little bit different tonight. I don't know if you've been part of, a night where guys are traded in game, but any recollection or anything that comes to mind about what that impact has on a group as the game's going on? Well,
I've been through a couple of very difficult trade deadlines, and I know that's further down the line, but it can have the same effect on your dressing room. It's just there's a lot of what ifs. There's kind of, and then, I mean, at the same time, it is exciting for a team. Like, yes, you're losing good people out of your dressing room, but who are you acquiring? And that's always the thing that you don't find out until we get an official announcement. So, again, I don't know if I've had anything really shocking happen in my career. I just think back to one instance here in Calgary. I believe it was Mike Camilleri, and it wasn't here, but he was playing for the Montreal Canadiens, and when we acquired him, he was pulled out of the middle of a game, and I don't know how we found out. I don't know if we were playing that night or not, but it's just, again, it's part of the business. You move on with it, and again, sometimes it can be very exciting for your team if you get the pieces of the puzzle that you think are going to make a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And, As we wait for General Manager Craig Conroy, and we will continue to do so, we'll hang here with you on Flames Postgame Live, presented by Original 16, and obviously everybody waiting and anticipating that. It was also, if you weren't in the building here tonight, following online, also our Lunar New Year celebration here tonight. And maybe just as we're waiting, I wanted to show everybody at home sort of the celebration that was taking place here inside the Saddle Dome, and a little bit about the jersey that was created. And guys, if we have that piece ready, obviously a unique jersey, one of a kind, created for this night in particular, and a little bit of a background as to the designer behind it and how they came up with the inspiration behind this year's Lunar New Year celebration jersey.
All right, Henry, come on in.
Henry, welcome.
Wow.
Take a quick look.
Beautiful. Wow, this turned out really nice.
What do you think about it?
I love it. Beautiful. Yeah.
And guess what, Henry?
What?
We have one for you.
Oh, awesome. I've always wanted to be drafted in the NHL, you know? Wow.
Just like that. That's amazing.
Incredible. It's really special from, you know, from something just that was an idea in our minds and just a concept, to see it in real life and to see it here physically, it's really special.
There are so many elements, I guess, you know, we could go back a little bit and when did it all start, how did you come up with the concept and came up with all of these elements, because it reflects what you believe is a Lunar New Year celebration.
Yeah, so when I first heard about me being involved in this project, like most projects, I start with asking, why are we doing this? What is the purpose? What is the goal? And how can we achieve this goal with the people and resources that we have? And this jersey is really a celebration between East Asian cultures and all other cultures that celebrate Lunar New Year, and connecting that to the spirit and identity of the West here in Calgary. When people usually think about Lunar New Year, they immediately think about Chinese New Year, but I wanted to create something a little more inclusive that included the other cultures that celebrated Chinese New Year. So I decided to use some Asian elements in the flames, some auspicious or lucky clouds from Chinese artwork, and the shoulder patches. The sun and the moon here represent the lunar solar calendar that Lunar New Year is really based off of. And the mountains on this side represent here our geographic region here in the west in Calgary, and yeah, it ties it all in together nicely. Truly grateful to be a part of this Lunar New Year celebration and to be able to contribute something to the Calgary Flames. You know, growing up in Calgary, watching the Flames, being a fan of the Flames, celebrating Lunar New Year in this way, and creating something that represents not only East Asian culture, but all the other cultures that celebrate Lunar New Year. It's really special, and I want to say that themed jerseys like these and special jerseys like these cultural jerseys, they are really important and they really matter because they symbolize something bigger than hockey. They're a way for representation, connection, education, because hockey lives in a larger world with real people that have diverse lives and challenges and cultures, and these jerseys really represent and celebrate those differences. They represent the diversity in the NHL, the league. They represent the diversity in the community, in the fan base. And for someone to see their culture or their identity represented on something as visible as an NHL uniform, it's deeply affirming. I give big props to the Flames for continuing initiatives like these to celebrate the diversity.
Well, it's a great jersey, and congratulations to all those involved here tonight on our Lunar New Year celebration. Big part here this evening inside the Scotiabank Saddle Dome. All right, here's what we're going to do. So Flames Postgame Live presented by Original 16 will end here, but if you are watching and awaiting the General Manager, Craig Conroy, the stream will continue. So as soon as the GM, Craig Conroy, sits in that chair, we will carry his press conference live right here on this current stream. We'll sign off here tonight, the post-game show officially ending, but we'll hand things over to the General Manager of the Calgary Flames. Coming up next, he'll sit down in the Ed Whalen media lounge to address the press coming up momentarily here. Expecting him in the course of a couple of minutes over at the media lounge. 4-1 the final here tonight. The Calgary Flames victorious over the Anaheim Ducks. 4-1 thanks to a hat trick, the first of his NHL career from Matt Coronado. Adam Klapka had a big night as well. And once again, stop me if you've heard this before, Dustin Wolf, 31 saves, sensational in the victory as the Flames get back in the win column. We're back with you to round out this 3-game homestand on Saturday night against the Detroit Red Wings. And as mentioned, stay tuned to this current live stream. Coming up next is the general manager of your Calgary Flames, Craig Conroy.
Everybody, thanks for waiting. Hello, everybody. So obviously, we made a trade tonight, and I just kind of wanted to go through it a little bit. We got Joel Farabee and Morgan Frost from Philadelphia for Andrei Kuzmenko, Jacob Pelche, a second in 25, and a seventh in 28. So, we've as a group, we've had a plan kind of moving forward. What do we want to do? Age-appropriate guys. It's not always easy. I know people always want something to happen really quick, but, we felt at this point these two players are going to be a huge, bump in our lineup. Especially we get a center, maybe not a right shot center, but we get a center, age-appropriate, and, something that we were really looking for. And then Joel Farabee, is a proven two-time 20-goal scorer. He brings some jam. We saw it here when he was going after Pospisil the night we played Philly early on in the year. So we're really, really excited about the guys we're bringing in. Obviously, with that said, we lose some great people in Kuzi and Peltz, and those are the hard parts of the job. I mean, those really are. The draft picks are the draft picks because we don't know them, but those two guys, especially Peltz has been here right from his draft year all the way through, and he was emotional. I was emotional for him. Like I know what it's like to be sitting on that other side. It's not easy, and unfortunately, to get players, you have to give up players, and that's what we had to do in this deal. Any questions? Yeah.
Craig, you mentioned the emotions of Jacob.
Yeah.
I think that really speaks to the culture that you tried to foster here, doesn't it? In that wanting to be here, a tight locker room. Will you speak to how that's really something that means a lot to those players inside that room, and certainly to you?
Yeah, I mean, you watch the group, I'm at arm's length. I see it from a distance, but they seem like they really enjoy themselves. They're having fun. Peltz is, we all see what it was like on the ice with Pelche. I mean, he was, giving the guys kisses and rubbing heads and all that. And he was like that when he wasn't on camera or wasn't on the ice. So, that's the tough part. But, you're trying to build something here and you're trying to bring in the right people. But you know what? It's that room that is doing it. It's that veteran leadership group. And, I think these two guys coming in, I got a chance just to talk to both of them briefly, but they're excited. They're looking forward to it. They know we're in a dogfight for that last playoff spot, and it's not going to be easy, but they're excited about the opportunity to come and a fresh start for them. So, that's what it's all about. They're real good players, and I want to integrate them in as quick as we can to get them feeling good about the Calgary Flames and be a part of this group, because it is a tight group, and we don't want them over on one side and everybody else. We want them all together right away.
How important is it for you right now to try and strike a balance between these guys could help for a long time and yet I want to try and see through this playoff fight that we're in? Yeah,
I mean, I definitely wanted to give the team something. They deserved it. They've earned it, and they to give them a boost, a shot in the arm or whatever it is, we felt like these two players could do that. And they're at the right age. They're not 33, 34-year-old players. They're 24 and 25-year-old guys that we can grow with. And that's always been the plan, is not just to do a deal to get an older player. Maybe at some point that makes sense, but for right now, we really want to find guys that we can grow with the long term.
Off the top, but would you just go further into the two guys and specifically what you like and where they kind of fit your plan here?
Yeah, so Morgan Frost obviously is a center, a natural center that we don't have. Really nice playmaking, great hands, sees the ice, vision. I watched him tonight on the power play. He made some real nice plays, quick one-touches. He gets the puck in, so he can transport the puck up and get it in, and that's we've had some problems at times this year getting the puck in, so he's going to help with that. And then with Joel, he's got some jam and he can score. And, he maybe his minutes are down or a little bit there, but I think we're going to be able to give him a really good opportunity here in Calgary. So I think he's going to bring, we talked a little bit about it, when you watch him, he's like a younger, maybe Blake Coleman type player, where he chips in offensively. He can score, he can put up points, but he's got some grit, and you feel very comfortable when he's on the ice in all situations.
How long have you been speaking with Philadelphia about this?
This came together pretty quick this morning, to be honest, but we've talked about the players maybe even last year and this year. So, but I think, it never really made sense. We were going back and forth. It just wasn't the right time, or it wasn't the right return. So, I think this morning it started maybe a one-for-one player type deal, and then it grew a little bit more, and then, it kind of became what it is now. So, Danny and I, the one thing I think when you're young GMs in the league, we talk maybe a little bit more than other ones because you feel very comfortable with him, and he's out east. So, today it just happened to really speed up and became, okay, this makes sense for both teams, let's do it.
Why today? Why pull the trigger now?
I think it's when you think the deal is right and makes sense for both sides, and we both did. If it was the trade deadline, but for us, we have, you look at our schedule with what we have with the break coming up, and I think the guys deserved a chance. And to bring in these two guys, I hope gives a little bit of spark in the team. I mean, the guys played great. I felt bad the way it went down tonight, where we had to take Jacob off the ice after the first period. Never want to do that, but just wanted to be sure that we got this deal kind of done. So, Philly ended their game, and then we, I just wanted to make sure, because I do think when you're looking for that young center and you're looking for another piece in Joel, this was the time to do it. So I think it's never, I don't think there's a perfect time for anything. It's just when it feels right, and you're like, okay, you know what, this is what we got to do, and it's gonna. And my job is to try to make the team better every day, and I think we've made the team better as of today.
Is this the bulk of your heavy lifting? Like, can we take trade deadline off?
No, I'm always, like I said, I'm always trying to make the team better. That's the thing. But I'm really excited. I do think this fills a couple holes that I've been trying to find, maybe from the draft last year, and it hasn't been easy. And I know I walk around the city, what are you doing? Is your phone not work? I understand that. So, people like to chirp me when I'm walking around. But it's just, you don't know when it's going to happen and when it's the right time. But today felt like the right time, and there's been another big trade already. I don't think it was because of that. I just think it worked out for both teams, and now we're, getting ready for Saturday night.
Have you had to be really patient through this process, like avoid the knee-jerk reaction when other things may be looking good, or was this kind of the first time it really felt like it was?
Well, when you're, you're looking for kind of that age group, that 23, 24, 25-year-old age group, and every team's kind of in it for a long time, and everybody feels like, is it the right time to do it? And it's tough. You probably would have liked to done something earlier, maybe even in the summer, but it just doesn't happen. So you do need to be patient and wait, and wait till you feel like, okay, this is the right deal for the Calgary Flames, and Philly was a willing partner, so we were able to get it done. And I appreciate everything they did, and we kept it quiet for most of the time, but it seemed to get out there a little bit towards the end.
Saturday, Craig to be in the lineup?
Yes, both. That's the plan.
Despite the emotion of the goodbyes here, like your guys now that are still on the roster, driving home from the rink, what do you hope they're thinking? What message do you hope this sends them?
That we're trying to get better, that we're trying to make that push for the playoffs, and these two guys coming in, whether they feel it or not right now, they don't really probably know the players that well, but we believe upstairs and that these two players can help us get to our ultimate goal, and it was just to make the playoffs and then start winning playoff rounds. So that's, we've seen lots of steps taken by our young guys here, and I think these guys are going to be a perfect age to come in with our other young guys, and we got, again, that great veteran group, and I do know it would be hard for Huberdeau tonight because I know he's got a special bond. I feel for him in that. I know, Matt Coronado and Peltz are very tight. So I don't take it lightly when we do these things because I do understand, but I also, my job's to try to make the team better, and I think we've done that tonight.
Confirm, no salary retained?
No salary retained, no, anywhere.
With your cap situation right now, do you feel comfortable sort of with the group you have? You have some guys who obviously are on deals that are expiring at the end of the year. Do you feel comfortable with sort of the flexibility you have going forward?
Yeah, I mean, we all know the cap's going to go up, and with the money we have, there's still going to be opportunity for us, whether that's free agency. We do have to sign some of our guys here, so we'll be working on that as the year goes along. But yeah, where years in past where maybe I've had a couple million, it's pretty tight. You don't have a lot to work with. This definitely gives us lots of options, and we still said we can try to use that cap, that money. If teams need, as the deadline comes, if they need a third party, I've told teams we're willing to do that. We'd be in that game, obviously, for something in return. But, so we just don't want to spend it to spend it. We want to spend it on the right things to make us better.
All good? Okay, thank you. Ryan Huska is going to come next.
Sorry, Craig, is Farabee?
Yeah, when I talked to him, I did talk to him for a minute. I'm not quite sure if it's right or left. He just wants to play a lot, so I told him we're going to do that for him.
Obviously, kind of a different game than you're used to playing. From your perspective, how did your team handle this evening?
Very well. Like you mentioned it, you don't often see kind of things transpire the way they did tonight with how players had to be told and all that stuff. And I thought our older guys' leadership group were fantastic with it. So the game was the most important thing. You deal with stuff after the fact, and I was very proud of the way they did handle themselves tonight.
How hard is it for you maybe as a coach when you see a couple of players that you've been close with? How challenging can that be for you?
It's, hey, you develop bonds with players, but at the end of the day, it's part of a business. And we have two players coming in that we're very excited about for different reasons. They bring different skill sets to our team. So we're looking forward to getting them here and getting them in the lineup right away. So we're all quite excited about this.
Players are smart. Did they have a pretty good idea something was going on with Andre scratched late and then Jacob coming out in the game?
Well, I think once Jacob came out, I think they knew for sure. Most guys, like, they have an idea. Of course, when something unexpected happens, it puts the antennas up a little bit. But like I said, there was no distraction in the room tonight. I thought the guys did a really good job right through our lineup.
From your perspective, at what point today did you get sort of an inkling that your plans for tonight might need to change, and sort of how did you, I guess, roll just so to speak?
I think it was about 5:30. So it was late, like for all of us. Like I haven't even really talked to Connie, to be quite honest with you, about it, how long they were working on it. It was something that came together, and so at that point we had an idea that we were not going to play Kuzi tonight, and then things just kind of went from there.
And we had lots of trade conversations last year, and so often it was a big piece goes out and maybe futures come back. Like, you guys added a couple players you think can really help right away. How does that change things for this group?
It doesn't. I like it because I feel like these players coming in, we feel like they're going to help us this year for one, but they also fit the wheelhouse for what we're trying to do. So these aren't just guys that are going to kind of get us there now. We want to grow with these players as well. So as I said, for me, I think the players did this. They put themselves in a position where you want to see your general manager help you out if you can. And I think because of the way our guys have competed this year and played, they kind of earned the opportunity to have Craig act. So as I said, we're all excited.
Understanding you've been sort of just assessing them as part of the team rather than individuals, what jumps out about the two new additions?
Frost, for one, is a skilled playmaking center. He's been pretty good in the face-off circle this year, which is something that we've struggled with. I think that's fairly well known. Farabee's a guy that I think he's a little untapped still, so we're hopeful that he's going to turn into even more of a goal scorer, but he does have an edge to his game. I think it was here where he was chasing Posby around the ice when Philly was here. So both guys bring something similar. Both guys can help us generate offensively, and one's a playmaker, one's got the ability to be a hard guy as well too. So as I mentioned, I'm looking forward to having both these guys and getting to know them.
What got into Adam Klapka tonight?
Jerome McGinley. Yeah, did he mention it? Yeah. Hey, if Jerome McGinley talks to you, then you might want to listen. No, but Adam, we've talked before about him. We don't have anybody in our organization like him, and he's got a skill set that he has with him, and he also can be an imposing physical player, which is something that our team needs. So very happy with his game tonight.
Understanding that you've hardly had time to digest this trade, have you spent any time at the whiteboard trying to figure out where these guys might slot in?
I have an idea in my head, yeah, and we'll see. I mean, I think a little bit of that's going to see if there's chemistry that gets developed like shortly with certain people, but I have an idea as to where I'd like to start them.
To Adam's game, he had a nice little breakup to start the third period there defensively. What's your thoughts? Talked earlier about his game, but that defensive side of the game could be a good asset for him too going forward for you guys.
It has to be. I mean, that's something we ask out of all of our players, is to be guys that are hard players to play against, and that means you have to have an understanding of the detail on the checking side of the game. And I think, as I mentioned before, a lot of times the Wranglers coaching staff has done a really good job of making sure guys improve and get better. So when they come here, they have a pretty good handle on what's going to be expected of them. And Adam has put the time and work in, and he did a lot of good things tonight, as I mentioned.
Okay, thanks very much.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Tomorrow will be a recovery day for our group.